Jimi Hendrix's live performance of Wild Thing at the Monterey Pop Festival was one of the most insane moments ever in the history of rock and roll. It's a moment that will never be repeated. It was the right talent at the right time at the right place. And you can see the video online. The crowd is completely blown away. They don't know what to make of it. In fact, the camera's turned to this girl at one point and you can read on her lips, she's like, "What is happening?" as Jimi Hendrix is literally sacrificing his guitar on stage. Now, I was recently in Tokyo, Japan at the world's only Fender store and saw a replica of Jimi Hendrix's guitar that he sacrificed at Woodstock, and I took this photo. But today, I want to share with you his version of Wild Thing and how it's different from the Trogs and talk about the guitar part. So let's dive in. The first thing you need to know is that Hendrix tuned his guitar down a half step. So you want to make sure your guitar, it's not in standard tuning, E, A, D, G, B, E. It's E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, and E flat. Now from there, he's playing just 3 chords. Let me show you those chords. We've got an A, and this is played with just my index finger. I play the open A string, the 2nd fret on the 4th string, 2nd fret on the 3rd string, and 2nd fret on the 2nd string. So we're going to play that chord as the first chord, then we're going to go to a D chord, which is played from the 4th string down, open, 2, 3, 2. And then the last chord is an E5. And the way I do that is I just bring up my index finger and I play the low 6th string, open, then the 2nd fret on the A string and the 2nd fret on the D string. So just to review, we've got an A chord, a D chord, and an E chord. Now the groove of this song, the rhythm that I'm thinking in my mind is this underlying 16th note groove, which could be thought of like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a just chicka 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 chicka. We're going to use some of those scratch strums in between the chords. It's going to sound like this. So I'm starting out with 2 down strums on the A chord. A, that's 1, 2, okay? Then on the and of 2, that's when we're gonna start those 16th note scratches. So we're gonna go 1 E and a 2 E and a. Okay, we'll do a down up there on the and a of 2, just muted. Then we'll play one more scratch strum on beat 3, and then right after that, we're gonna shift to the D chord. So it's gonna go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E. On the E of 3, we go to the D chord, 3 E and. Okay, then we come down on the D. So when we get to the D, it's up, down. And then we'll play it again on beat 4, down strum on D. And then I have a little cheat chord in here. I play the open strings. So that's on the and of 4. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and. Okay? And that just sort of keeps the energy of the music going, and it helps you transition from one chord to the next. It's a total rock and roll thing. It also creates kind of a bluesy sound, which we're going to use later, and that comes from something called the blues scale. And if you haven't learned your blues scale anywhere on the neck, I want to give you a gift that's going to help you learn it super fast. What it is my free blues scale PDF guide. And you can get this by going to johnmcclennan.com/bluescales and download it right there. It's going to show you the 5 patterns that I use to map out the neck. It's going to come in handy for playing songs like Wild Thing, just understanding the neck and playing solos. So grab this completely for free. Just go to johnmcclennan.com/bluescales. Now from there, we hit those open strings and then we go to the E chord. Okay, now just to back up, that rhythm figure is 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and. Then what we're going to do is play the same rhythm, but we're going to go from E to D. So it's going to go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and. So the whole chord progression goes A, D, E, D, and then just loops around. And then the rhythm is just that first bar. So one more time, 1 E and a 2 E and a, that's a down, down, then scratch strum, down, up. Then another scratch strum on beat 3, and then on the E of 3, go 3 E and a 4, and then open strings and that returns you back to the A. So it's 1 E, 2 E and a 3 E and a 4, and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4, and now this brings up a very important lesson I want to talk about here called the 1, 4, and 5. So this song is in the key of A, and I'm just saying guitar terms right now. I know we're tuned down. Yes, it is technically A flat, but just for our purposes here, I'm just thinking an A chord, a D chord, and an E chord. Now when you're in the key of A, you have these primary chords, and these are the primary chords. They're the 1, the 4, and the 5. So A is going to be the 1 chord. D is going to be the 4 chord, and then E is going to be the 5 chord. And you'll also see those 3 chords all the time in blues progressions. So Hendrix, really, he's coming out of the blues. He has that blues influence. Now from there, we have one other riff we need to know, and we come out of this riff, we go. I want to know for sure. So this is the next part, right? So basically we play the first part of the riff. We go A to the D, and we just play 2 strums on E, 1, 2, and instead of going back to D, we go G, A, G, A. And what that is just open strings. It's kind of like, it's really like a G chord with an A in the bass. You could call it a G over A to A. It's kind of just a bluesy rock thing for the A chord. I don't think of it as a separate chord. It's just an embellishment on the A chord. So it's like, and that's rhythmically 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1. So again, coming out of the riff, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1. All right, then for the solo, the bass player, and the drummers start getting crazy, and of course Hendrix, he's doing all his whammy bar tricks and feedback. The guitar is literally, if you take Marshall stacks, turn them all the way up and stand in front of it, which I don't want to do because I'm going to go completely deaf. But you turn it up and you start building up this feedback, right? And he solos over this part, and then what happens, he starts playing like really cool licks, like it's a classic Hendrix blues lick here. It's just the note G to A on the 2nd fret. It's the 3rd string open to the 2nd fret. This is called a trill. You just go back and forth like this, and then what happens is like the bass starts going. The bass actually starts changing up the progression. So the bass player is like going from an E, 2, 3, 4, D, A, which is another very common classic rock progression. Notice I'm still using the 1, 4, 5. And Hendrix is like, he starts doing like all these little, little hammer pull-offs like this trill here. And then he's doing it here, 5 and 7 on the 2nd string, and he's using like the A major scale or the A major pentatonic as the bass player's like doing this other progression. Then you sacrifice your guitar from there. So hope you got some value out of this lesson. Again, it's slightly different from the Troggs version, and I wanted to share it with you. And of course, it's just one of the most insane moments in rock history. If you haven't seen the video, go to my blog. I'll leave a link down below if you're watching this only on YouTube, and see all the extra content that I have there for you. And don't forget to grab my free blues scale PDF guide. Just go to johnmcclennan.com/bluescales. This is going to help you start putting putting all this stuff together and jamming the blues anywhere on the neck. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and for more Hendrix, check out this video next.